We're now live on social media.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mudra Katoshudia. I welcome you all to the WBC show. We talk about women in the past and in present time. We talk about how we have been able to participate in all aspects of life. We talk about how we can support one another when crisis arises, and we talk about how we can help one another discover our potentials. For our regular viewers, you will notice that we've been talking about the crisis that the whole world has been dealing with in the past 1 year, which is the COVID-19. Lots of people, over thousands of people have lost their lives to the virus. It has affected people's livelihoods, their health. It also has a big impact on the global economy. We talked about how some countries have been able to manage it. The World Health Organization has approved different kinds of vaccines to control the spread of the virus. But thousands of people around the world are still skeptical of getting the vaccine. They feel unsafe. So this is why we have come about this discussion today. Our topic is COVID-19 vaccine, to take it or not to take it. And this prompted us to bring some medical practitioners on this show today who will enlighten us about the contents, importance, and the benefits of the vaccine. So I'd like to call on our panelists to introduce themselves. So I'll start from the pharmacists. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Afsa Aminikoyi. I'm a chief pharmacist at the National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos. I'm delighted to be here this morning as one of the panelists to discuss about vaccines, coronavirus vaccines. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for that short introduction. Now I'll call on our doctor, Dr. Aisha Abdulkarim. Hello.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Aisha Abdul Karim. I'm a
Can
senior.
you show your video, please?
The video is on.
I can't see you.
Can you
it's all
see
right.
me? My video is on.
Okay, go on.
Okay. My name is Aisha Abdul Karim of the Department of Community Health at the Lagos University. I'm delighted to be here with you this morning to discuss about COVID-19 vaccines, its benefits, and other issues associated with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to have you on this show today. Now I'll go on to our regular panelists to introduce themselves. So who would like to come on first? Rashida?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. As usual, I'm Rashida Hassan, and it's good to be here today to discuss yet another important topic. And thank you, Mujira, for hosting us.
Thank you for that. Sharifa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharifat Onatade, and I'm happy to be here again. Let's see how it goes.
Also, we have another sister, Roy Lu.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm Railu. I'm part of the
Hello.
normal. Hello, can you hear me?
Has the
Yeah, we can.
whether to have about the vaccine, they are sure maybe take the vaccine or not to take the vaccine. So I would like to call on Rashida to tell us the fears that people have about the vaccine. Rashida?
Yeah, thank you. The thing is, we all have fears about anything new, especially with the vaccine being something that has to do with health and that people are not really, really very knowledgeable about. We are all very scared of the unknown. So it is natural for people to feel some amount of fear because they don't know what the vaccine contains. But also the fears in this case is particularly heightened because of the various misinformation that is going around the social media. The world today is so small. We all have access to information that we seek and the one that we don't even seek. You're just on your phone, on the social media anywhere, you come across information, and apparently there's a lot of information out there for people, and a lot of it, there are scaremongers, there are some that are actually believable, and all those kind of things. So people, of course, are scared. And because of past issues, also past experience of our different communities about, things related to health and all that. And, there are fears comes in different forms, but in this particular instance, we're talking about a disease that have killed a lot of people, and there is a lot of conspiracy theories around. So, and the fact that it is very obvious that the vaccine just came like that, and people have loads of fears that, okay, there's been serious diseases just like the COVID, and a lot of them don't have immediate vaccine like we have now. So there are various reasons for people to be scared, and I won't lie, I was also a bit scared of taking the vaccine, although I've now taken it, but that's something we'll talk about later.
Okay, thank you. Sharifa, can you also tell us some of the reasons why people are skeptical of getting the vaccine? Just in brief.
Yes. Well, the present situation is that there is, the pandemic. We accept everything is from Allah. Even if people speculate that the virus is human doing or is planned, everything still happened according to the will of Allah. So then we start to wonder whether it is a test or a punishment. But according to some sheikhs, they said when a calamity strikes, then you can't know for sure whether it's a punishment or a test. But righteous people will accept anything that befalls them, and sinful people will find it hard to accept. But the fears are rooted in misinformation, as Sister Rashida rightly said, is mainly misinformation, and which is the work of the media. We easily get brainwashed. We don't question, we don't seek evidence. We tend to just believe what any random person is saying online. They say vaccine will alter our DNA. They say it will implant microchips in our bodies. These are all false information. They are false theories, which have been debunked anyway. So let's remember. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. I've also watched videos where people are saying the vaccine contains some ingredients and people are not meant to take it. It's forbidden for some Muslims. It's blah, blah, blah. It's this forever. So now I'd like to go on to Farm Hafsa Aminikoyi to tell us about the content of the vaccine, so that we'll all have we'll have the confidence that, okay, this vaccine has got some things that we can actually, that is not forbidden to us, that we can actually have. Can you please tell us what the vaccine, what the content of the vaccine, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mudira. Just like we have been saying, the COVID-19 vaccine, just like every other vaccine, it has created some fear in people because people feel that the contents are likely to cause more harm than good to them. And people are not actually, I wouldn't blame people because of past experiences, just like my sister has said earlier, past experiences with vaccine. You know, we have one right here in Nigeria some years back about the Pfizer vaccine that was given to some children and all of that. Also, people feel that when they take this vaccine, you know, it can cause infertility and different things. But the coronavirus vaccine, just like we know that there has been several research on the coronaviruses in the past, even though the COVID-19 virus is a new one, and of course, this is part of the reason why there has been so many speculations about this, because it's a novel disease and it just caught everyone unawares. So, but for the COVID-19 vaccine, it needed to be, you know, formulated because of this pandemic and the harm it was causing all over the world. So something needed to be done to, you know, and fast, so that people can, you know, like people can be saved from this disease. So there were several, you know, researches and on different vaccine, lots of them. But presently, there are two common ones, even though one now it's like the one that is coming to Nigeria now, the Astrazeneca, but in UK and all the other European countries, the Pfizer, BioNTech, and the Moderna vaccine are the common ones that people have taken. And we learned that both of them have about 95% efficacy. Because when you're talking about vaccine, you're more concerned about the safety and the efficacy. Because we know that developing vaccine has to do with like 3 phases, and all of these phases must be sure to, you know, confer efficacy and safety on people. So the COVID-19 vaccine, that's the Pfizer, BioNTech, and the Moderna vaccines contain majorly the mRNA, which is the ribonucleic acid. Our bodies, of course, have this, and when the RNA gets into the body, what it just does is to produce the spike protein, which is the protein of the coronavirus. Our bodies develop antibodies and, of course, produce T cells to fight it, so that when it comes in contact with this, it will easily fight it. So it has mRNA. It also has lipids, 4 types of lipids. And of course, it has salts in form of sulfates, sodium chloride, the common table salt, and of course, sugar. The sugar is to prevent it, because of the way it's going to be stored, it needs to be frozen. So the sugar will prevent it from sticking together. So basically, these are the main contents of the coronavirus vaccine, COVID-19 vaccines. It has no microchips, it has no animal in it, and all of that people have been bothered about. Then, of course, the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, that has, you know, some, what's it called now? The common flu virus in it, though is deactivated, but it's gotten from the chimpanzee. That's the AstraZeneca one. And unlike the other two, its efficacy is about 63%, but it has an advantage of the storage over the two. Because for countries that have low income, there has been, concerns about the storage of the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines, because it requires ultra cold, to achieve. But the Astrazeneca, it just requires about 2 to 8 degrees, which is the common, fridge storage and all. So there had been, plans with the Nigerian government to store this AstraZeneca, to procure these AstraZeneca vaccines for the country, since we can be sure that we'll be able to store it like the other common vaccines that are available around here. So basically, those are the contents of the COVID-19 vaccines that are being used now.
Thank you so much for that explanation. Now, I am convinced that the vaccine does not contain anything like pork from what we've had before now. I would like to ask Dr. Aisha if she has got any additional contribution to what Hafsa have just explained to us.
Thank you very much. In addition to what Hafsa has said, I will say that the issues about contents of vaccine should be looked at from how they function and why it is that they contain what they contain. From time immemorial, vaccines have been in production in order to reduce diseases that have before now been a source of, it raises communities. We can remember our grandparents, our grandmothers had, some who have 8 children, 7 of them had died and all of that. So vaccines have been created very importantly to help to reduce mortality in populations. And the way in which they work is when they get into the body, normally we have what we call natural immunity. That is, when we fall ill as a result of a viral infection, our body develops immunity. They develop what we call antibodies, soldiers of the body, that will help to fight that infection. But it takes a while for the natural immunity to come up. And so what vaccines do is that before this person even gets that infection, you want to introduce something that resembles that organism, that germ that causes that infection, so that the body would have pre-produced and studied how this thing causes infection. And then what is left in the body is what we call memory cells, things that will be in the body to remind you that, if this one comes, we must fight it this way, such that when that person now gets infected again, the response is faster, quicker, and the person is able to fight that infection, may not even come down with that infection or have a very mild form of that infection. And as Sister Hafsa has rightly said, vaccines come in various forms. Some will contain the killed form of that germ itself. For instance, infections like pertussis, they have killed form of that infection. Some will have what has been genetically engineered, which is what means is that in the lab, it was created to resemble that a part of that organism, which is what that mRNA is all about. Because there is so much noise about the mRNA and all of that. But it has been found that it may be a cheaper form of creating vaccines faster and in larger quantities if we are able to produce mRNA types of vaccine. And what the mRNA just does is that it will trick the body to create something that resembles the corona protein itself, which will now let the body produce soldiers to fight it. And what is important to note is that when that mRNA vaccine is given to that person, the body will eventually destroy that mRNA given. So it's not like it is going to hide somewhere and create coronavirus infection in that individual. And then there are some other vaccines that, as she has mentioned, in which you put in a weaker form of virus and then give to that individual. So by and large, the vaccines are generally, even though they have to be created, in a very short time compared to other diseases, but it is important to know that safety measures were being put in place and things were tried to be done in the best way to ensure that they are safe for populations to receive. And we'll see that there's a reason why countries have to, you have to put in place, you have to weigh the benefits and the risk of why this type of vaccine is good for this population, maybe the variants that are there and all that. So there a lot of thinking is going at public health level, population level, to understand these vaccines and to be sure that they are safe for people. Before I quickly round up, the issue about the containing pork that Sister Mojiro mentioned now is important because it is a cause of conversation in the Muslim field, and it has to be addressed. I would only say as a scientist that it is true that vaccines contain some things that have been derived from pork, but what is usually gotten from pork is gelatin. Gelatin is a chemical that is gotten from things like bone, tendon, cartilage, and those things are not in any, you can't get it from anywhere but from animals. So perhaps from cow, perhaps from pig. But it is important to note that it is not the animal itself, it's just a chemical substance. And why it is used in some vaccines is because it helps to make the vaccine safe, to make it stable, to be able to be transported across. And you know that these things are produced at very far distances and then transported all over the world. And so when manufacturers find that this chemical works for our vaccine, you'll probably want to retain that because it takes a lot of finances, money to be able to create these things. And once they find what works, they probably stick with it. However, it is the duty of our Islamic clerics to clarify what Muslims should do in light of this occurrence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that explanation. I found it so interesting. Because of time, I'll also go to Famhafso to just explain to us in brief the importance of the vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just like she has said earlier, the importance of the vaccine is to prevent, deaths majorly, because the COVID-19 is a serious pandemic which has caused so much death all over the world. So basically, the vaccination is to prevent further spread of the disease, to prevent people from coming down with serious complications of the infection, even though some people have some side effects after taking, but we should know that no vaccine has been, said to be 100% safe. But by and large, I said earlier, the efficacy of the two common ones that people have been taking is 95%. And it has been shown to be very effective, at least for, though we don't know, no data has really shown for how long it's going to offer protection against the COVID-19, but at least for 6 months, it has been shown that it will still offer protection from contracting the COVID-19 for at least 6 months. And when people are given this vaccine, they actually observe them for like 48 to 72 hours to see if they are going to come up with any adverse reactions. And I don't think there has been any noted serious adverse reaction that has come up with people that have taken the vaccine. And but it has been shown to be very effective to prevent further spread of the COVID-19, even though people are still advised to still, observe the necessary precautions of social and physical distancing, wearing of the face mask, avoiding crowded places, washing of hands, sanitizing, and the other things that we've been doing to prevent contracting the disease. we still need to go on with all these precautionary measures. But at the same time, the vaccine has been shown to prevent further spread or, contracting of the COVID-19 disease.
Thank you, my sister. I would now like to go on to Sharifa to tell us the position of Islam on situations where people feel unsafe.
Yes, before you go to that, Sister Mdurakat, before you go to that, Mdurakat, there was something that the pharmacist just said, and somebody noted in the chat that here in the UK, the observation period is just about 15 minutes, and that's actually true. I can attest to that. I actually took the vaccine that is being, the one that you said is going to Nigeria now, the Oxford vaccine. That's the one that was given to me. So I did, the observation period was just for about 15 minutes. So it wasn't 72 hours as, I don't know if that is the intention in Nigeria, because I'm aware that the vaccine has not started, it's not yet in Nigeria. So maybe that is the plan, to observe people for 72 hours. But here in the UK, it's just for 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, as I was saying, people feel unsafe getting the vaccine. They are scared, yet people are dying and lots of people are still contacting the virus. So what do you have to say about the position of Islam on this kind of situation? Thank you. Sharifa? I can't hear you.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Yes, let's first of all talk about the reason why Muslims don't want to take the vaccine. One of the main reasons, the Muslim communities, they have expressed their concerns, and their main concern is that it contains pork or pork products, which is prohibited under the Islamic law. They call it haram. I'm not the one that said it is haram, but according to our well-known scholars, Sheikh Al-Hakim, Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim, Brother Numan Ali Khan, and Brother Yasir Qadir. There are different vaccines, to be honest, and the content of each of them vary, maybe slightly. So we can't generalize that they all contain gelatin. The Pfizer, the Astrazeneca, and the Moderna, the three vaccines that are being rolled out in the, I would say approved in the UK, according to the NHS, they do not contain any animal product. So it is worth checking the contents of the one being given in our various or in our country or by your doctor, and decide what you want to do with it. Now let's talk about the permissibility of gelatin or pork products, just in case for those that will be taking the COVID-19 vaccines that contain gelatin. We learn from Islam that everything is pure or halal, except what is stated as haram. Gelatin is a stabilizing agent. I heard one of our sisters mentioning that. It's a stabilizing agent to protect medication or vaccines from the effect of heat or to maintain shelf life. It's not in itself the medication. So the Islamic scholars around the world, they agree that the consumption of gelatin is haram. But when it comes to medication or vaccine, according to Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim, in his video, he said gelatin, which is haram, put in medication are halal in the absence of any alternative. Then Brother Yasir Qadir, he made it clear by explaining the chemistry before reaching a conclusion of whether it is haram or halal. So from what I have gathered, the sources of gelatin, according to Brother Yasir Qadir, the sources of gelatin are animals, plants, fish, and synthetically manufactured gelatins. So he said we have about 4 means of producing gelatin. So they are all halal, except the ones made from the flesh or skin or bones of or of pigs or from animals that are not slaughtered in accordance with the Sharia. So the ones made from plants and fish and the synthetic ones, they are presumed to be halal. So, and from all of the animals that they can use for gelatin, they said the pig ones are the easiest to produce and it is the cheapest. And this is the reason why you hear gelatin, is mostly from pig anyway, except when they mention otherwise, because in Islamic countries, we will expect them to use halal products or halal ingredients to make their gelatin if they choose to produce anything with gelatin. So the brother further explained that almost all the classical Islamic scholars agreed that gelatin is impure. It is najis. They said it is impure, that impurity is always impure no matter what you do to it. But modern scholars, according to this sheikh, said because of the knowledge of chemistry, they claimed that najis, impurity, can become pure with the process of istihala. And he said istihala is the chemical transformation, chemical and structural transformation. So he gave the example of vinegar, which is made with alcohol fermentation. We know alcohol is haram, while vinegar is halal. He also cited the example of clean, pure water extracted from urine in some countries, which UK is one of them. And we use the water, the tap water, for everything. We drink it, we make wudu with it, without questioning it. So they said the process of transformation can actually make something impure to be pure because it has undergone the istiala, the chemical transformation, and has become pure. I'll say structural transformation, sorry. So there's an hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which they mention that someone was considering a dead sheep as haram and didn't want to do anything with it. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised the person to tan the dead sheep's skin to make it pure, and they can use it as leather, so it becomes halal. But in the case of gelatin, I want every one of us to get this clear. Gelatin has gone through the process of istiala, has gone through the process of transformation, but the scholars said the transformation is not thorough enough to call it a transformation in this context. So we can't claim it is halal, that gelatin is still haram, that it's something you can even cook in your kitchen, that you only boil the animal bone with water for a long time and few other simple steps. So it's not a genuine transformation. So it should not be considered a structural transformation. So it is still the pig product. So it is still najis. So Sheikh Yasir Qadir concluded that gelatin made from haram product is only permissible if it is for life-saving purpose and there is no alternative. It shouldn't be used for beauty products or for not serious medication. Like if someone can't breathe properly and they put their medication inside gelatin, then they said it becomes permissible for Muslims, and Allah knows best.
Thank you, Sharifa. To our audience, I'll soon call on you if you have any questions or contribution. Just press on the finger icon to raise your hand, then I'll let you in. Thank you. Now, before that, I'll call on Dr. Aisha Abdul Karim to tell us the benefits of the vaccine. Thank you.
Okay. So to reiterate what Hafsa has said, vaccines are important because they help to prevent diseases which eventually lead to death among populations. And we can see, especially from some hard-hit countries in which COVID-19 deaths have been recorded in the thousands, hundreds of thousands, that those were the things that necessitated the creation of these vaccines. And so we can look at it as benefit to the individual and then to the population at large. It is beneficial to the individual because it prevents the occurrence of that illness in that person. Or even if that person has that illness, we will end up with having just a mild form of that illness. And so in terms of COVID-19, the World Health Organization says it will prevent serious consequences of that infection, especially if you look at people who already have predisposing factors, such as those that have the cardiovascular infections, the diabetic patients, older people above 60 years old who are dying from that infection. And then another benefit is that once you get vaccinated, you are also indirectly protecting your loved ones, because that would then mean that you won't, it will reduce your ability to have the infection or have serious forms of it, and then you won't transmit it to other people. And then in terms of the population, when we have large people in the population receiving the vaccines, it would at least improve the immunity status of that population and reduce the transmission of infection within that population. And so the issues of it being a pandemic will become a thing of the past. And so we can all then move past that phase of us having this widespread transmission of the COVID infection, and then all the lockdowns and all the economic impacts that it is, bringing upon nations. Thank you.
Many thanks, Sister
Thank you. Yeah, some of us have already taken the vaccine, and some say that they've got some side effects. They had some symptoms. Like my husband has taken the vaccine, but he didn't have any symptoms. It just had slight headache on that same day that he had it, but by the following day, he didn't have any other symptoms. So I'll go to Rashida. You said earlier that you have already taken the vaccine. So can you tell us how you felt? What are the side effects that you had when you took it, please? Thank you.
Well, for me, it was very mild side effects. And I won't. I think maybe for a couple of days, I felt a bit feverish, but not feverish to the level that I wasn't active. I was still very much active. I could do what my normal everyday activities. Of course, a bit of soreness on the shoulder where I got the vaccine, on, and then also just some slight headache, a bit of temperature, but by the next day, I was feeling much more better. And of course, I think my understanding, because the sister was talking about how long it would protect you from. One thing that I think I understand from what was said is that it doesn't necessarily mean that taking it, you cannot still contract COVID. You just need to make sure that you maintain all the protective rules and guidelines that have been given, but it gives you it puts you at a better place not to easily contract it. And of course, you have to take the full dosage. So I'm expected to go back in 3 months' time, since the day I took the first one, to take the second dose. So generally, there was, like I said, there was a lot of fears for me too. I had fears, and I wouldn't want us on this show to just minimize the fear that people have to just the content of the vaccine, maybe talking about pork and all that. Somehow it goes a little bit beyond that. People, there have been instances of vaccine given to people, and then eventually it turns out that those people were just being used more or less like guinea pigs. You've had incidences like that were reported in places like the United States, and people started circulating that video, and those stories were real stories, and they put real fear in people. And so for somebody like me, I've attended a number of sessions where people talked about the content of the vaccine. So I would say I was averagely educated about the content of the vaccine. So my fear was not just about the content of the vaccine, but also because I'm a journalist, and I've read stories, I've seen, I know about the case of the gonorrhea vaccine then and what's happened. So those were real fear that people have, and there were real consideration that people put when they think about getting the vaccine. But in the long run, what we need to know is that as Muslims, it's always very important for us to take the better of all the alternatives that we have. So in this situation, the coronavirus, is killing people, and everybody seems not to have a clue. So if there is a 1% chance of being saved and saving others, then I think that was more of priority, than any other thing. So personally, my own personal decision to take it is having a sense of responsibility, not only about protecting others, protecting myself, but also about protecting others. And where it's better to make an attempt than not to make any attempt at all. And because we've had all this education and re-education by practitioners like our pharmacist here and the doctor, who are Muslims also, and who understand our fears and are also Black. So it's not just about Muslims. So it's not about Muslims alone being scared of taking the vaccine. It's also about Black people. It's also about minority people, all those conspiracies that people talk about. But conspiracies also come from certain experiences that people have heard, and they might have narrated it in wrong ways or added to the story, like this, the Yorubas will say, so when people are transmitting story from one place to the other, they either add to it or remove from it. So yes, people should have fears, and they would have fears, but in the long run, we all need to be responsible, and we all need to take charge of our well-being and our health. And in doing that, we also need to consider other people around us. And if there is something we can do, and the vaccine obviously is something that is being done, and we've had all this education, we have opportunities to ask questions, we can seek clarifications, and based on that, make informed decision. But right now, I have taken it. I'm happy I decided to take it, and it didn't have all those side effects that people have said. I was scared. I have underlying health conditions, so part of my fear was that taking it might actually aggravate that other condition for me. So there are different things that people are afraid of. But the thing is, in the long run, speak with your doctors, understand the content, just like, the kind of re-education and educating that we're doing on this platform. And then make that important decision to help yourself and help others around you.
Thank you, Rashida. So now I'll go to our doctor and pharmacist.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question, Sister Mujiro?
Okay, go on.
Sister Mujiro, you would like to ask Sister Rashida, what exactly took away? Because you mentioned that you had real stories. You call it real stories that people were turning into pigs or guinea pig or something like that. So what is the way of fears? I want to know, please.
Because your network is breaking, if anybody here got that question clearly, if you can repeat it to me,
please.
Hello,
Sharifa, are you there? Sharifa. Oh, okay. Sorry, we lost her.
I'm
good. Hello.
I'm here. Okay. Hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you, but not that clear.
Can you hear me?
We're still having issues. Are you there?
Let me see if I
Happy New
can
Year,
understand. I
Rebecca.
think she said something about my reference to maybe people being used as guinea pigs and the story, the kind of stories that goes around that. Well, I don't know if you've come across that story, but it is real story of a vaccine that was given for gonorrhea and was specifically given to Black men in America at that time. And it turned out that they were only being used to test a particular medication that wasn't really, that has not really been developed. And if eventually it affected a lot of those men. And even up till now, there are still some cases in court about, that incident. Now, that story, it's an old story. People who are involved, it has been handled, issues around it, lessons have been learned from that story. But the moment the issue of the vaccine for the corona started, some people went to dig those stories up from the archives, and they started spreading it all over the place, and that was creating fear for people. So what I'm saying is that because incidences like that have happened, and people who sometimes either through lack of education or through just wanting to be mischievous can use such true stories to actually create fears in people. And what I'm saying is that those things are out there. So we cannot like say that people are just being scared just because of the content or for no reason, that it goes deeper than that because of our access to information and people.
Okay, thank you, Rashida. So, as Rashida explained to us about the side effects of the vaccine when she had it, and now I would like us, the doctor, to tell us about the likely side effects of the vaccine, please. Dr. Aisha, over to you.
Okay. According to commonly stated side effects from the manufacturers of the vaccines, as well as the bodies coordinating, such as WHO, the common side effects that have been described include perhaps pain and soreness in the site of the administration of the vaccine, such as in the upper arm, for instance. You may expect some pain, some headache, some fever, tiredness, weakness. And it's important to know that because these vaccines have just been developed,
Okay.
there may be there's not so much information about long-term side effects that may occur. And so, which is one of the things also driving the fear, actually, for willingness to take those vaccines. Because you want to begin to imagine, especially if you weigh that against the issues about the microchips in the body, the 5G. Some people will say, oh, I don't want to take the vaccine, I don't want to go and develop horns in future. Who knows whether it will affect fertility and all of that. And so there isn't so much documented information about the long-term side effects. But what I've stated earlier are some of the side effects that have been described by even the manufacturers, and some of these effects have been could be managed easily by perhaps taking, for instance, the fever, the headache, pains, by using over-the-counter medications such as paracetamol, maybe taking some rest. Some will say over the sore area, you could just put a wet, cool clothing over that painful area so that the soreness can go. And these are some of the common effects that we find even with other regular vaccines anyway. And so it's just to say that in the instances of taking vaccines, especially as we are in a pandemic, we are at the point in which we are weighing the benefits of taking those vaccines against the risk of not taking it. And so, again, those would inform our willingness or our perception of why we require or why we should take those vaccines. Thank you.
Thank you. Farm Hafsor, have you got any additional contribution on that, please? Farm Hafsor? Hello? Hello, is she there? Hello?
There's a comment. Can you hear me? There is a comment on the chat if you want to read that.
Yeah, I can see that. I just want us to just, is Famafso there? Okay, yeah, I can see the comments. Railu, can you please read out the comments, please? I'm not with my glasses. I'm really sorry. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, she said, this is from Aisha Shomoye. She said, I was skeptical before deciding to book my appointment, and I was given yesterday. It only shows where the needle went in. My fear, I think, was about side effects. Mine too was about protecting others, plus I have a child that is asthmatic. His asthma symptoms were triggered when we contacted COVID-19 at the beginning of the year. The symptoms just stopped this month. Then Hajia Fauzia, she said, observation, if doctor can be addressed as such, can Sister Mudrika please address sisters as sisters so and so, even if they don't have professional title? Thank you. Okay.
Oh, sorry, also, I mean, the last message that you read, I'm trying to address it. Sorry, that's our method on this program. It is not actually
going to say that. I was just going to say that.
It is not actually an Islamic program, although we are Muslim sisters. So that's why I call everybody by their names. I'm really sorry about that, but we just have to go by the rules. Thank you.
About COVID. So foreign affairs.
So is Famafso here? Sister Roger, have you got any contributions so far on what we have, on all the explanations so far? Have you got any contribution to?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Yeah, I just want you guys to finish. My contribution is on how as Muslims or as human beings we should, and I think Sister Sharifa, she said a lot more, most of the things that I wanted to say. And one of them is that Rasulullah did say that when you hear of, now I'm paraphrasing, I'm not exactly quoting that, when you hear there's a pandemic or an epidemic somewhere, you don't go in there. And if you're in a place where that thing is happening, you don't go out of it. So bottom line, the essence of the essence of life in Islam holds life. Preservation of life is something that is really, really key in Islam. So when you have two things, Rasulullah will always go for the lesser evil. If you say, if you have anything that has, if you have to make a choice, always take a choice between the one that has the lesser evil, the lesser problems. And then when you look at the pandemic and the COVID-19, people are dying en masse. And some people are of the opinion, without, the annoying part is they don't have the knowledge. It's all information, and some of the information are true. Some of them are just like what Starashia just talked about, somebody digging up information that had happened 10,000 years ago, and then somebody puts it on there and people start running with it. You know, the social media had done so much good and at the same time, so much damage, depending on how you take on it. But as Muslims and as human beings with reasoning, we need to sieve the kind of information that we have, and we need to hold people's life sacred. Life itself is sacred. Our life, first of all, is a trust. So Allah gives us, and we're going to account for it. The COVID thing is killing people. If you're going to, there's anything that will prevent you from contracting it, then do that thing. So much so it's not going to cause a problem. And when you do, if there's anything, don't, the one that, and I think we talked about this some time ago, is some people will not take it, like the information that we see going on, and then they will discourage others from taking it. If you're not going to take it, that's one problem. But you spreading information about others not taking it is another problem. So we here, one of the things I think we're also trying to do, apart from this talk, is also to encourage people to stop spreading information without confirming them. So you see something on social media, and before you know it, you have shared it to everybody on your contacts. and they shared it to everybody, and it goes viral, and everybody begin to have all this information. And that is what is causing the fear. The fears are valid. Everybody has their own fear. They are valid fear because of the things we are hearing, because of the information that is circulating. So one of the things we need to do is stop forwarding information that we have not proven, we have no source, we don't know the source. Everybody is now a medical doctor, everybody is an expert, everybody is an advisor. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We need to control how we spread information. We need to control how we share information, and only share the information that is of benefit. Even when you think the information is right, as long as you see that there's no benefit in it, there's no point sharing it. It's not just about sharing. Be careful of the things that we share. So that's just the thing I want to say. Yes, taking the vaccine is personal choice. You can decide to take it, you can sign up to take it. And I don't think we're here telling everybody go and take it or don't take it. We're just giving you information so that you can make informed choice. And at the same time, know that whatever we do as Muslims is to preserve, first of all, our lives and the lives of people around us.
Sorry, because of time, sorry. So I would like to ask each and every one of us here to just give us our audience an advice on the vaccine. So I'll start from Rashida. We have just 3 minutes to the end of the program. Rashida, are you there?
Yeah. What did you say, please?
What advice do you have for the people out there on the vaccine?
Yeah. I think the most important thing is that we should all please make informed decision. And then we should realize that it's not just about us, it's about every other person around us. And we need to be responsible and do the right thing. Take the vaccine so that we can all help to prevent the spread of this disease. Thank you.
Sharifa?
Yeah, there is one of the comments I want to call our attention to. It says, from Falilat Alabi, it says, whether or not we take the vaccine, we will all die. Why not take it so that you don't get punishment for committing suicide if you die after contracting COVID-19? Now, there is, thank you, Sister Falilat. There is a verse of the Quran that warns us against killing oneself or like committing suicide. Is Quran 4, ayah 29. Allah wants us to make every effort to preserve our life, to want to live, to prefer living than to dying. Then we should remember also that reliance on Allah does not stop us from taking the needed action. In fact, Quran says that Allah wants us to take responsibility of our lives, as I just said now, and take actions. Yes.
Dr. Aisha.
Okay, I will just say in closing that whatever we want to do, as has been iterated, I think that the most empowering thing is about knowledge. Knowledge gives you power. I also say that even as a health worker, I also had my own concerns about taking a new vaccine. And I'm sure that this is not a new thing. When all vaccines were introduced at some point in human history, it was a problem. But knowledge is important. We should know the right sources to get our information about things so that we make proper decisions about our actions. And then we should shun sharing information that is not verifiable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, from Hafsa.
Thank you very much. I'm really sorry. I've missed about 30 minutes of this presentation. My network has been throwing me in and out. So unfortunate. I've been switching from one network provider to the other. So unfortunate. But by and large, I think I really enjoyed and listened to some of this. Oh.
Wow. Are you there? We lost her again. Sorry. Railu, what's your advice, please? Okay. It's time. We have to go now. down. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for Dr. Aisha. Explanations were so interesting. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Rashida.
Yes, please. Hello. Hello.
Can you
I think she wants you to give a closing remark.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's just thank everyone for joining us today. And we do hope you will make informed decision about the vaccine. And of course, we do this every month. So please.
My network or yours?
It's from her end, not from any of us.
Okay. So we're going to end the program now. Thank you all. Nice having you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Are we offline yet?
I'm trying to do it. Is Rashida back?
No, she made me the host.
Hey, we're heading to program. Please assist.
Yeah, do you want us to edit completely as an?
Yeah, finished already.
Okay.